Thank you for joining More Than 2 Minutes. I'm your humble host, Wil E. Our guest today is someone whose story is not just powerful, it's purposeful. On More Than 2 Minutes, we often talk about burning the boats so you can build bridges, which at its core means not staying stuck in where you started, but using your journey to create connection, opportunity, and impact. And today's guest embodies that in every sense. Instead of being anchored to her past, she made a decision to move forward, intentionally, relentlessly, and with purpose. She took her lived experience and turned it into a mission, founding Fostering Dreams, an organization dedicated to giving foster youth access to the experiences, support, and sense of belonging that every child deserves. Her work is transforming lives across North Texas, but more importantly, it's shifting mindsets, proving that your past doesn't have to be your identity. It can be your fuel. This is a story about resilience, about purpose, a story about what happens when you burn the boat so you can start building bridges. So sit back, grab your tea, and listen to foster care advocate, philanthropist, entrepreneur, coach, and more importantly, my niece, Vallery I Get Stuff Done Mitchell. Vallery I Get Stuff Done Mitchell. Thank you for joining me here on More Than 2 Minutes.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
My niece.
Yes, and my uncle.
So before I get into the first segment and talking about your background and your journey and everything, a few episodes ago I started asking a question to each guest.
Yes.
And so the question is, you know my health issues. I've been having health challenges for the past couple of years. And a lot of times people would ask me, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? And I got really tired of hearing that. And so I started this, or I came up with this idea. So I started asking people, what season are you in? So that's what I want to ask you.
So right now, I would say that I am in a season of growth. I am in a season of chasing my dreams again. I know oftentimes people go off to school and, when you're graduating high school, you go off to college. That's where your chasing of your dreams begin. Well, I've decided to reset that clock for myself, and I decided to go back to grad school at the age of 32. And I'm in grad school right now on top of being the president of Fostering Dreams Foundation, on top of being the head of a program at a school, on top of being an educator.
Yeah.
And so I'm really just learning a lot more about myself. How much can I push myself?
Right.
There was a season where I wasn't really challenging myself how I am right now.
Yeah.
And so to see myself rise to the occasion, not give up, although sometimes I'm like, I don't think I should be doing this. But, the late nights, the pushing submit at 11:58 when they do it at 11:59, we've all been there.
Yeah.
So just a season of growth, determination, and just survival to achieve what I want to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
building another bridge. One thing
you.
that I say often is burn the boat so that we can build bridges. And I really believe in that concept. The other thing that I believe in, and I know that you are very much a faith-driven woman. The other thing that I say is that our blessing, our only real or true blessing is grace.
Right.
Because it's not owed to us.
Right.
And so as we go into this hour, maybe a little bit shorter.
We'll see.
We'll see. The thing that I want to talk to you about or ask you about is, where did it all start?
Where did it all start for me and the work that I do today? I would say I have to give a huge shout out to my dad. I always do when I get asked a question like this is he instilled service. Like from the moment that I was embraced into this family and until this day, he instilled service in me. So I've always been one to serve others. I have fallen in love with it. If I feel empty when I'm not serving, that's what a lot of people don't know about me. They see everything I'm doing and they think, you're working too hard. And I'm letting them know, like, no, I'm serving. Like, this is what fills my cup. Like, if I'm not doing this, I feel incomplete. Right. So I love my dad, and I thank him for teaching me that how important service is. And that's where it all began. And then from that, I felt like I wanted to serve people who were like me.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of power in being in a room with people who were like me. On my way here, I was just thinking about, I know that sometimes the Me Too phrase could have negative connotation, but have you ever stood in a room where you're talking to someone and you're venting and you're vulnerable and you're able to say, you know what, me too, and you feel a little bit of a sigh of relief, like, okay, someone understands. Yeah. So like when I go and do the work that I do, and like I'm in a room of foster youth, and I'm able to be like, okay, I remember this, and it's a Me Too moment, and I'm just like, this is exactly where I want to be. I feel so fulfilled, and I'm happy that I can provide that space for them.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So let's take it back even further. Okay, you're born and raised where?
I was born in Killeen, Texas.
Killeen.
Yeah, I know, right? Killeen, I guess. And then I was placed immediately in the foster care system at birth due to my birth conditions. And then I spent about 6 years in the foster care system in Bell County.
Okay.
And then my amazing adoptive parents found me. They decided to look for youth outside of Dallas County. And so they found me and they adopted me and raised me right here in DeSoto, Texas.
Wow. And so did you go to DeSoto schools?
I went to DeSoto public schools until 7th grade. So when I was in the 7th grade, I transferred to Life Charter Oak Cliff, and I spent 7th through 10th grade there. And then I was able to transfer to Canterbury Episcopal School, and I graduated from there. That's where I was able to become a 2-time state champion in volleyball.
Yeah, let's roll that back right there.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
volleyball.
Yes,
That's a
volleyball, my
lifeline.
heart and soul, man.
Okay, when did you first get into volleyball?
I got into volleyball in 7th grade, and the craziest story, like I had never played before, but I was new to Life Charter Oak Cliff. I had managed to make a friend or two, and they were like, we're going to volleyball tryouts after school today. And I was like, well, I don't want to be alone, so I'm going to go too. So I ended up going to volleyball tryouts with them, made the team with them, made a team, which was crazy because I had never picked up a volleyball before in my life. Made the team, and then after that, I never put the volleyball down again. I still play to this day.
So what's your most memorable moment, during that first season of playing volleyball?
During that first season of playing volleyball, I remember our volleyball team was really good. We all had the same mindset. We wanted to be excellent together. And just going, and honestly, I love to win. I'm not going to lie to anybody. So the winning moment, yes, the winning moments with my team, I still remember certain points and certain games all the way back to 7th and 8th grade. But just realizing that the people that I started volleyball with, I still talk to this very day. I still see them annually. They still come and support me at my events. We kind of make sure, like, one person that I played with, she's a volleyball coach at Life Charter Oak Cliff. So we kind of make sure we always schedule each other to play each other now in our current roles at our schools. So just understanding that the people you're playing sports with, if you do it right, that's your family. And you're going to know them forever, again, if you do it right.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So when you were going through that first season or the first few seasons, you said winning, you like winning.
I love winning.
Okay, so the first game that you won, what position were you playing?
I was playing all the way around.
Okay.
I had a good little vertical back then.
Uh-huh.
Now, not so much. Back then in 7th grade, I could jump pretty high.
Yeah.
So I was playing all the way around. God bless me to be athletic, have an athletic nature about myself. So I was able to serve really well. I was able to jump and attack very well. So, and my determination, like, I was not going to let the ball hit the floor. Like, that was just something always known about me. So I used to go all the way around back then.
Yeah. I always think, and I grew up being a musician, and I didn't understand this until later on in life when I was sitting in front of a therapist. But with things that we're passionate about, either we're running away from something or we're running towards something. So in those very early years of playing volleyball, which was it for you?
I believe that I was probably running towards healing. So this is 7th grade, 13-year-old girl. You're just, learning about yourself and all those things. But I'm always vulnerable enough to share with people. I had a huge identity crisis probably until I was 26 years old.
Okay.
Just because although, I am adopted and I love my adopted family, you'll always have this, like, where did you come from?
Right.
What were those people like? So always struggled with identity, but on the court, I could always be sure of myself and who I was and my abilities. So I was basically running towards healing, and at every rally, every play, every game, I just felt whole, complete, and I just felt a little bit better about myself as time went on, as I got to compete in that sport.
Yeah. During the early years of competing, was there any particular moment that shaped that younger version of you?
I would say just the coach believing in me in general, knowing that I had no experience, but she had to see that I was going to, like you said, get stuff done. Like, she had to see that's probably what got my spot on that team. And then my work ethic. I used to, you can call my parents right now and ask, I would be at home passing the volleyball on the roof 300 times a day, running, doing all of these different exercises on my own time to make sure that I am the best version of myself for the team.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that just my coaches choosing to notice that instead of where my raw talent was at the time they met me and choosing me to be a part of their team, that really shaped me to be who I am today. And that's kind of how I train the athletes that I coach today. Like, just get it done. You might not be where you want to be or where your coach wants you to be, but if your coach believes in your work ethic, things will work out.
Yeah, because everything in life, it starts with your approach, right?
Right.
Okay. So you leave Canterbury, then you go where?
So I graduated from Canterbury. I left life school
Okay.
and went to Canterbury.
You went to Canterbury.
It was like sophomore year, I remember, and I remember kind of playing volleyball in a rec league, and then we were like, we want to be challenged more, and then I got to transfer to Canterbury and join their team, and the coach there was both coaches. I still talk to both coaches to this day.
Oh, wow.
And I actually work for my Canterbury coach now.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So shout out to Coach Vaughn, and shout out to Coach A. Both of them really shaped who I am today. And he is an amazing scout. He's actually an NBA scout. So I believe what really changed my mindset on the game is being able to scout teams. And I saw an amazing quote today was like, we have to change it from us versus them to our preparation versus their preparation.
Yeah.
And that was very insightful. And so I believe that we got to win state 2 years in a row because it was our prep versus their prep. And Coach Vaughn did not play about prep. Like, he scouted those people.
Yeah.
And so I got to win state twice, which is a feeling I can never shake. Every day I wake up, I'm like, wow, I'm a state champion. Wow. Super cool. To do it once is great. To do it 2 times in a row is a blessing, and it was great. And then after Canterbury, I graduated, went to Angelo State University.
Yeah.
I left there after freshman year and transferred to Midwestern State, where I graduated from.
Okay. Midwestern's where?
And Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls is hot there.
Yes,
the reason
it is
I know
hot.
it's hot there is because it's hotter than hell.
Exactly. I was about to say, riding bikes. Yeah.
Riding bikes.
So, yeah, I graduated from Midwestern State, and that's currently where I'm back in school at to get my master's degree.
What'd you get your bachelor's in?
I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Criminal
A
justice.
cool, fun fact.
Okay, you wanted to be a criminologist or something?
I actually wanted to be an FBI agent that would work on a special task force to help prevent and eliminate human trafficking.
Okay, wait. So you had this thought back in college, right? Freshman
Well, way
year,
before.
Right? Oh, way
I
before.
used to be a SVU junkie. Okay,
yeah?
I was a part of that show. If you ask me.
Okay.
But I was always watching crime shows from junior high, and so criminal justice is always like my core. Like, I love the criminology world. But I always really wanted to get into helping victims of human trafficking and all that. I even wrote my senior thesis for high school about it. So that's what I originally wanted to do. So I was going to become a police officer and all these things. But as you know, they don't know, but as you know, 2 knee surgeries later, I was not going to any one police academy. So I had to change like my entire career.
Yeah.
Or change how I was going to pursue what I would like to do.
Yeah. So talking about or thinking about those knee injuries, both of them, I would imagine, came from playing volleyball, not necessarily walking up or down some stairs, right?
No, we wish. Yes, I have had 5 knee surgeries.
5.
5 knee surgeries. I have blown my knee out twice playing volleyball.
Yeah.
Freshman year of college was the first time. And then senior year of college was the second time. So a fun fact is that I walked across the stage for graduation on crutches.
Wow.
Yes, it's crazy. So I'm crutching across stage to get my degree, but hey, we're here.
Yeah.
And then right after graduation, my knee started to just started to go to a bent stage, like it didn't heal correctly. So they had to go back in and clean it out and straighten it back up.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 years later, it started bending again.
Yeah.
So I had to go get it cleaned again. And then I want to say my 5th time was, I'll never forget, I was playing volleyball on the day I was also leaving for a cruise. I will never do that again. I will never do that again.
Wait.
And a girl ran into my knee, boom. And I was okay in the moment, but then maybe a few plays later, I just heard a little pop.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't walk.
Okay.
And so I'm like, this can't happen right now. I'm going on a cruise. Like, I'm going to my parents' house. We're driving down to Houston, and I'm
Yeah.
going on a cruise.
Yeah.
And I did just that. Like,
Wait, you did? You went anyway?
Oh, I went.
Bad knee and all.
Bad knee and all. Went to Walgreens, bought some crutches, got a sleeve, you know, all this tiptoe, got some medicine. I'm like, we're not changing the cruise. You can't change the cruise.
Right.
This knee's gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
So on the cruise, I'm in a wheelchair. My mom's pushing me around.
Yeah.
The whole cruise situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Belize, Costa Mayo, Cancun in a wheelchair because I wanted to play volleyball.
Yeah.
But I ended up walking around with a bum leg for like 3 months and finally got surgery. I heard it in July.
Yeah.
I got surgery Thanksgiving of that year.
Wow.
So I started because I just got hired at the school that I'm at today too.
Okay.
So I coached, it was volleyball season. I'm like, I don't have time for surgery. So
Right.
I just literally band-aided it. And then when they went in there, they were like, yeah, you have a bucket handle tear of your meniscus. And I was like, well, at least it's not an ACL, right? And then we all laughed, you know?
Look at the upside.
So they just went in there, shaved that out, and then, yeah, I was good to go. But
So I know with injuries,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of mental anguish. You get one injury that shuts you down.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
right,
2, 3. But after you have five, situations where they have to go in, cut into your knee, do a repair. What did that do to you mentally?
I would say for some odd reason, or it's not an odd reason, it's a blessing that I'm always a person that's, all right, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
I think it's, a trauma response. I will admit that you just have to get up and you got to keep going. So it sucked, but what else are you going to do? Soak in it, sit in it?
Right.
So I was like, oh, you got to keep going. Now, I will say I'm way more fearful today to play volleyball
Right.
than I've ever been before in my life.
Okay.
But, of course, my dad doesn't want to hear this. I still play volleyball. But I try to stay at the back. But I just, there was times I cried. I think the scariest surgery was I woke up, Mimi was there, and I'm like, girl, what you doing here? Mimi was there, and my dad, he's a very goofy man. So
Yeah.
he wasn't joking. My mom was looking around like, what's going on here?
Right.
And unfortunately, that particular surgery, they let me know I didn't wake up on time. So that was scary. And I would say that was the scariest situation. Like I didn't wake up on time, and they ended up taking me from the surgery center to an emergency room.
Yeah.
My lung had collapsed, and I just didn't respond to the anesthesia as they had hoped.
Yeah.
And so that's why Mimi was there, and everybody looking at me like, girl, hello, Earth to Vallery. So that one was scary,
Yeah.
because it's like things could have went anyway.
Right.
But then after getting over that initial scare, I'm like, okay, now get your leg together and don't put yourself in this situation again. But my motto is you got to keep going.
You got to keep moving, which goes back to burn the boats, so you can build bridges. Which now I want to ask you about your mission, turning pain into a mission. Exactly when did you found Fostering Dreams?
Yes. So I founded Fostering Dreams around my senior year of college,
Okay.
around roughly 2015. So we are officially 11 years old, so that's exciting. But originally it was called Volley for the Children.
Volley for the Children.
Yes,
Okay.
because I'm now combining my two loves. I love volleyball, as y'all have heard me yap about. I love volleyball, but I love serving foster youth.
Okay.
So I had the blessing of participating in a charity tournament when I was in high school called Volley for a Cure, and they were raising money for breast cancer. And I said, that's a great idea. I should do the same thing and donate items and funds to a children's shelter that I select. So that's exactly what I did. And so we started as Volley for the Children. I got the entire Wichita Falls community involved. When we first started, it was called Midnight Madness. We had literally the whole community out playing volleyball, raising money, raising items, and I got to drop all this stuff off to a shelter.
Right.
And that's the first time I just felt so fulfilled. And I was like, whatever I do, I had to keep doing this.
Right.
Because the ball had stopped bouncing for me, of course. But I had to keep serving and getting to go see those kids at the shelter and play with them.
Yeah.
That really ignited everything that I do today. Like,
Yeah.
I have to keep doing this. And so I would say after I graduated, I hosted like one more Volley for the Children out there in Wichita Falls.
Right.
And then I moved back home. And then I realized that we were changing. Like we were evolving, we were growing, and you had to be willing to evolve with what your dreams are and your passion is. So I realized that I didn't want to limit myself to charity volleyball tournaments. So I knew I had to change the name. And that's where Fostering Dreams Foundation came to life.
So how did that come to you, the name? Were
So
you
I
like
just kinda-
sleep? Were you driving?
It was just, I think I just really sat down and tried to think, what is it that I'm really trying to do for people? What did my parents do for me? And then you, of course, play on words. I sat down and really Googled what is the definition of fostering? Like, why is it called foster care? Why is it called foster parents?
Right.
So I really Googled the definition of fostering. And then I was like, okay, I get it. And I said, well, I want to do that for their dreams. Like, I might not be able to be their foster parent or anything like that, but I want to truly help them accomplish their dreams any way that I can.
Yeah.
And so that's where Fostering Dreams came from.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. It really, really is. It's a strong and powerful name. You know, and it has an identity. And that's one of the things that I first recognized when I heard it. And you know, not to give too much of a spoiler alert to folks,
Right.
but spoiler alert,
Whoop,
we're
whoop.
gonna go back to the journey.
Right.
But I know that facing fears publicly is not always easy.
Right.
But you have been celebrated, and you have received accolade after accolade, and pat on the back, and you know everything that I can think of over the past several years. And so I know that there's an article in D Magazine.
Yes.
But I don't want to do disservice by attempting to run down your menu of wows.
Right.
But out of all the things that, well, let's start with some of the things that you've been, some of the either the awards or some of the accolades that you've received.
Yes. And so we'll start with the nonprofit, then we could wiggle into volleyball.
Okay.
So with the nonprofit, I was awarded DCO Magazine 2025 Micro Nonprofit of the Year. That was honestly one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah.
When you're in nonprofit, when you're a philanthropist, you could really feel like your voice isn't being heard. That magnifies for a micro nonprofit. That's what a lot of people don't know, because it's like, you know, you see all the big nonprofits getting all the money, all the support, and you just want people to understand your mission and what you're doing, and you'll feel unheard a lot.
Yeah.
So to see that, to get awarded by such a prestigious organization and magazine, to be able to go to the award show and be in a room, that was a very powerful room to be in.
Right.
And to see all of the, I mean, we have Mavs Foundation there. You have, I mean, it was so many people in that room. Under one roof, I ended up sitting next to that person,
Right.
the president of that. You have the president of Paul Quinn that was in the room and at my table. So then to learn all the amazing people you're in the room with, and then to sit there and, because you don't know you win until, of course, that night at the banquet.
Right.
To hear them talk about your story on such a stage and then award you with the award, that is something that I've never experienced in my life. And it's not a feeling that I'm going to chase, but if it happens again, I'm going to be like, yeah. That's definitely fueling me to push forward, because a lot of people don't know, and I share vulnerably, like in intimate spaces, that, you know, there's sometimes I'm like, you know, maybe this year is a wrap. Like, we're not getting the funding that we need. We're not getting the support that we need. So, you know, this year is maybe it's going to be our last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then every time I have thoughts like that, then something like the magazine comes about.
Right.
And that's what's reminding me to keep going. Sitting at the charity event in December, and where we got to serve our largest amount of foster youth ever, and hearing those foster parents saying, thank you for this event. We got to talk to other foster parents, and we got to do this. So that's why it's so important for me to be at those events, because that's what's going to keep me going. But DCO Magazine, that was a beautiful experience. And then that was in July of 2025. And then shortly after that, I got an email, which was a blessing, another blessing. I got an email from the Meadows Foundation that's here in Dallas.
Yeah.
And they were just letting me know that they have realized they haven't worked with me. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, okay, great. Well, what do we need to do? And they were like, you know, just tell us about yourself. We got to get on a few meetings, and then they provided me with the largest grant we've ever had in organization history. They blessed us with $5,000, and without their grant, we wouldn't have had that Christmas event.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we
And
would.
that was a huge event.
That was it was
nice.
big, thanks to the Meadows Foundation. Like, you know, we would not have been able to serve that many kids, over 100 children, foster parents, tons of gifts for all of them.
Yeah.
They not only supplied us with that grant, but they also hosted a toy drive for us.
Yeah.
So that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when we're a little, Christmas is always like, and especially a lot of nonprofits are like, are they going to get enough toys? That's always the question. Are you going to get enough toys? So I started to worry a little bit. I'm like, I don't know if we're going to have enough. I don't know if we're going to have enough. And spoiler alert, we had more than enough toys. But I want to say, like, at the very beginning of December, out of nowhere, I'm just scrolling through my emails on Sunday, and I see an email from CBS 11 News.
Okay.
And they were like, we've selected you as our 11 Days of Giving campaign, and we want to give you $1,000. And yeah, we want to come see you this week and all these things. I'm like, whoa, wow, that's such a blessing. So, I got to be on CBS 11 News maybe a week or two before the charity Christmas event that is the third week in December.
I found it.
Yes, yes. And I got, shout out to Bo Evans. He did a TikTok with us. And what was beautiful about that event is I always get youth involved in seeing this, not this side of things, but to see the work I'm putting in, not just see the results.
Right.
So I like for them to see the whole process. So there was some youth there that day that got to watch me be interviewed by the news reporter, but also got to be at the event and just got to be around the whole process.
Right.
So that way, one day you have to be inspired, right?
Yeah.
So one day that you realize you could do this too, and you now are connected with someone that could walk you through that process and support you through that process.
Right.
And so CBS 11 News, they honored us, and that's all the things that happened just last year for the Foster and Dreams Foundation.
That's great.
Right.
That's great.
We didn't even get to, everything was happening so fast. Walmart also gave us like $1,000 as well.
Wow.
Last Christmas. So we got a $1,000 grant from them. So we really had a great year.
Yeah.
Foster and Dreams did last year. And it was crazy because, again, I was like, is this going to be our last year? We're not getting any support.
Right.
So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to beg.
Yeah.
Make sure you're always praying. If you're going to worry, then you're taking away God's job. So you have to just do what God has asked you to do and understand that he's going to supply you with what you need. So don't get caught up in the worrying.
Right.
So a lot of times I'm like, I just don't think it's going to work and this and that. I hear God's voice like, who asked you to think? Like, nobody asked you to do that. We just told you to go do. And so, so I am so thankful to God for that entire year because I was thinking about giving up.
Yeah.
And as far as volleyball, of course, like I can't do one without the other. Volleyball is a beautiful experience. I want to say in 2024, I did get to receive an award from the Junior Volleyball Association. They sponsored me to be a part of the American Volleyball Coaches Association diversity program. And so I received a national award. They flew me out to the national convention. And we got to be a part of the convention for free. They paid for the room. Like we got to basically eat every day. We got to be in a room with all the top volleyball coaches in the world are in this room. I got to meet the USA men's coach, all the MVPs. It was a great experience. Then while out there, I got selected to run a huge clinic for kids, be a part of a team that actually put together the clinic for kids. And so it was like over 100 kids at this clinic. And I'm like, wow, this is like an amazing experience. And the kids had fun. We had people telling us this is one of the best clinics they've seen organized for this. So that was in 2024. And then right after that, I got selected to be a part of Gold Medal Squared, which is a national training volleyball organization that has the best of the best coaches. So now I actually travel in the summer and coach on their behalf. And it's a very good accolade and thing to have on your resume.
Yeah, I can imagine. See, that's why I say getting stuff done. So when do you sleep?
Oh my gosh, I get asked that question all the time.
Yeah.
So I am a very strict boundary setter. That's what people are coming to learn. They might not know it, but they know now. So.
And what exactly does that mean?
So for me, I know it has to be different for everyone, but for me, that means no work after 9 p.m.
Okay.
Bedtime is at 9 p.m. You need to be winding down. Of course, there are going to be times you cannot do that. Like if I'm still in the gym coaching, there's like one night a week I'm still coaching.
Right.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but no working after 9 p.m. When I do get out the gym, that's why I have two phones. So I have a business phone. So I don't touch it after I get out the gym.
Yeah.
And I don't have any social media or any business emails or anything related to work on my personal cell phone. It's a very bland cell phone. It's like, it's telling you the time and you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
That's all that's on that personal phone.
Yeah.
So I have a no work after 9 p.m. rule. When certain situations happen, if it's not a dire emergency, then, allow 24 hours, allow yourself time.
Yeah.
When I was younger in this work, I would rush like, oh my God, they need to know that I care. Like, I need to respond to them right now. And then they take 4 weeks to respond. So it's like you have to find your sweet space in everything that you're doing. So I kind of allow myself time to respond. That's a boundary that I set. I do a very good job of not taking anything personal. I don't think you should do that in business.
Yeah.
You'll be out of business very fast.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I try to do a very good job of not taking anything personal and try to hear people for what they're saying. I try to take the facts out of the situation and understand that maybe I didn't like the delivery, but what was the facts here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then outside of that, I make sure to treat myself and make sure to have fun. Early on in this, I didn't do that, and so I had burned myself out. So now I try to make sure I treat myself. I'll take myself to eat. I'll go get my nails done. I'll go to a pottery class, but making sure I'm also taking care of me, so that way I could continue to do what I'm doing, because I'm serving so many people at the same time, year round.
Yeah. And it's really important. One thing that I discovered when I was going through my health challenges is that I've never been a multitasker, but I've always compartmentalized. And I think that you can actually get more done when you compartmentalize,
Yes,
because
I
of
do. I
stacking
agree.
and everything. But I never turned it off.
Right. Okay.
And so now I'm at a point where I don't have a problem turning off the cell phone. I don't have a problem turning off the computer.
Right.
I don't have a problem looking at an email and saying, I'll take care of that tomorrow morning.
Right.
Because my mental health is so very, very, very important.
Right.
So one thing that a lot of people know, but one thing about what they know that they don't know. So a lot of people know that I ran for city council last year. What they don't know is you were part of the campaign team.
That's what they don't know.
That's what they don't know. You were a driving force.
I know the
behind-
audience is like, girl, you did what? No.
Right. In one of your most successful years in Fostering Dreams. So one, thank you for that.
Yes.
But two, I was experiencing health challenges during that whole entire campaign. And so this person that I am today would never do that again, because although I was compartmentalizing, I was doing a lot of things, and it was driving my health down. And so, as I said, mental health is very, very, very important to me. So as we kind of transition this conversation and really get into the journey of Fostering Dreams and the Vallery Mitchell, the version you are today. So what do you do, or how do you protect your mental health beyond turning off your phone or beyond setting boundaries?
For me personally, the type of person I am, everyone's different. I sit alone. I do things alone.
Like going to the movies alone,
anything.
eating alone?
Like, I love me some alone time.
Okay.
Like, because I am just always with people or helping people, serving people.
Yeah.
So if I realize that I'm getting to a space where I'm not about to be myself, I'll spend a lot of time alone.
Okay.
To just ground myself, figure out why am I feeling this way. I'm not really a person that likes to go sit and talk about it. That's not my style.
Okay.
So I'll spend that time alone, address my emotions, figure out why I'm feeling this way, just really sit there and think through things, and then slowly do some things that'll bring me back to who I know that I am. So that's how I treat what I'm going through.
Okay. Okay. So with Fostering Dreams and you're dealing with foster children, and they are coming from a variety of situations, a variety of environments.
Right.
When you first meet a child and you're bringing them into the Fostering Dreams family,
Right.
how do you approach them? The mental part of it, seeing that you have an understanding. Sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's indirect, but no matter what, you have an understanding of what they've gone through.
Right. So what I do is I always kind of channel and make sure that I'm being a person that I wish I had while I was in foster care. So when I'm approaching them, I just kind of just go, hey, how are you doing today? Like, what's your name? What do you like to do? Just really learn about them. And just let them know that I want you to have a good time today. Like any foster youth that I talk to, anyway, I want you to have a good time today. If you want 10 toys, take 10 toys.
Right.
If you want 45 slices of pizza, take 45 slices of pizza. Because in every other area of their life, they're being told no, they're being limited, which of course with time, there's some things you need to be told no about.
Right.
But they're being told no about things that children that are not in their situation are not being told no about. And everything that we do at Fostering Dreams is to enhance and increase normalcy. So I just make sure that, you know, when I'm with them, that they understand they have my undivided attention. I'm not on my phone. I'm not rushing off. I'm not like, hey, and then moving around.
Right.
Like I spend that time with them. I hug them. I hold their hand. If they ask me any questions, I'll say, hey, you know, I was in foster care too.
Yeah.
And the faces that I see light up when I actually go so far as to share that, like they're just joyful after that. Like they feel, like I told you, feel safe, a sigh of relief. Like, okay, she's just not someone on the outside looking in. Like
Right.
she understands what I'm going through, and she took her time to do this for me.
Yeah.
And I hope that, you know, when they get older and out of their situation, they say, I want to go do exactly what she's doing.
Nice.
And with that, we're gonna, you know, save a lot more foster youth.
Yeah, that's a beautiful statement. How do you define healing?
How do I define healing?
Yes.
That's a good question. I would define healing as, I really don't know, actually.
Yeah.
But it's just getting to a space where, one, you have to know that it's okay not to be okay. I think that healing is ongoing. I think the mistake that humans can make is thinking, okay, I spend these 3 weeks like this, then boom, I'll be fine for it, and so on. And that's not true.
Right.
Healing is ongoing. It is up and down.
Yeah.
And you just have to be willing to do the work. That's what I think about healing.
Yeah.
Like, don't understand that something's wrong or something's broken and sit in well, that's just the way I am, or something like that, because then nothing's going to get better for you.
Yeah.
I always use the phrase hurt people.
Yeah.
So just get to a space where you're not hurt about it. You can be sad about it. Or if you are hurt about it, make sure that you're not that hurt person hurting other people.
Yeah.
Understand what hurt people and how they respond. And at minimum, try not to respond how hurt people respond while you're still healing.
Yeah.
But as far as healing, it's just doing the hard work. Healing's not easy. Doing the hard work to get yourself to a space to where you can interact and engage with others without hurting more people.
Yeah. See, and I like that. I like that statement because, you know, I'm from the mindset, or I have the mindset that we are never healed.
Right.
We are always in a state of healing. And so we move from one space to the next space to the next space, but it's all about identifying what is holding us back.
Right.
The other thing that I discovered when I was going through all my health challenges, you know, I started out praying, please let me live.
Right.
You know, please let me wake up. Please let me go home. And I discovered that, no, that's empty.
Right.
So I started praying for peace, no matter what it was. You know, it's like, I got to go to the doctor. Okay, I'm praying for peace today.
Right.
And so I like what you said about when it comes to healing, because hurt people they really do hurt people. But if you find that someone is at peace, what do they give? They give peace.
Right.
And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about Fostering Dreams, because what you're doing is identifying a need.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to take it all the way back to 11 years ago. Okay, and the mental health of Vallery, I Get Stuff Done Mitchell, at that particular point in time, because if you wanted to give up, or if you thought, man, the support's not here, and you're 11, and when you're attempting to get this foundation off of the ground,
Right.
what was the first thing that made you want to give up?
No money. No money. A lot of people probably have no idea really until, you know, well, last year helped us a lot, but I have always used my own money.
Yeah.
I have always used my own money. There are donations and they help, or they may help us break even at best.
Yeah.
But, you know, looking at and seeing you have no money, and then if you ever get to a space where you personally don't have any money to also fund this journey, that will immediately make you give up. And there was one time where that happened. And then I was like, well, I guess, like I just said last year, I guess this is the end of things.
Yeah.
And then I had to be willing to be flexible and adaptable.
Yeah.
And I started this very young. I was like a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old when I started this. And I will say I used my age and where I was in life to help me with ideas. So I threw parties. Like I'm a college kid. A college kid is not just going to come give me money,
Right.
but they're going to party.
Yeah.
So I started throwing parties, and networking. And I'll never forget the Nines in Deep Ellum, which is still there today. I contact them, I reach out, and I'm like, hey, what I do is I host parties and raise money for my charity that serves foster kids. And that is where we raised so much money, almost close to $10,000. Like outside of the grants that we got, that is where I raised the most money for Fostering Dreams.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't do that anymore. But I never raised a lot of money like I did when I started to do that. So instead of saying, well, we're not getting any money, these college kids or these people around me don't want to donate, you have to be willing to meet people where they are. You don't have to lower your standards in a sense or expectations or tarnish your name, because I don't believe we did that at all.
Yeah.
At best, more college kids and more people who would have knew nothing about serving foster children know about it now. Because yes, did we party? We had a grand old time. But at some point the party always stopped. I always got on stage and I explained why we're here, what the foundation does, and taught them how to get involved. So you're not just partying. You're still going to basically get a word by the end of this. And I'll never forget, again, working with the Nines. I think I got to work with the Nines in Deep Ellum on 2 occasions. And they were like, yeah, you can have the door, like, all night. And it wasn't just, I didn't rent the place out, and it's only people that maybe heard about it through me.
Right.
Anyone who was coming to party at the Nines in Deep Ellum, they gave me the door for that whole night.
Really?
So when you think about that, that's very powerful. And to know that, I hope I can inspire people to share your story. It might be hard to share your story.
Right.
The owner was a foster kid of the Nine.
Oh, wow.
So to then end up learning that he was a foster kid, and he resonates with this so much so that he's like, yeah, you take the door on the nights that you come.
Yeah.
So we got to throw like 3 parties there, and again raise close to $10,000 through throwing parties for young people
Yeah.
to come have fun, but hear a little bit about what we do.
Yeah.
And that really showed me that I'm kind of blessed to be innovative. And years later, I ended up getting an award for being innovative, but not getting upset that I'm not getting the support I want, but basically going out here and taking what I know I deserve and what foster kids deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the hardest part about serving others? Yeah.
What's the hardest part about serving others? That's a good question. For me personally, I've done it so long, it doesn't bother me, but I've seen other people serving, and then I've seen feathers get ruffled.
Okay.
When you're serving others, you have to check yourself and figure out, why are you serving? Like, are you doing it for the clap from someone else? Are you doing it because this is your mission and you know that this is what God expects of us? Good job, well done, faithful servant. That's what the Bible says. And what we see often in a lot of environments where I go serve is you could be serving someone and they might, I don't want this, or their response might not be admirable, to say the least.
Right.
It is, if you're serving for the right reasons, that won't bother you at all.
Yeah.
You'll just, okay, well, what if you'll try to work with them, right? But there's some people who will go toe to toe with the person they're serving, or you'll get a nasty attitude as well. And I'm like, that's not our job here. So I like, when I'm hosting events and everything, I always do a good job of saying, understand why you're here. Remember why you signed up. There will be upset people here today. It's our job to still respond with love, to respond with care, to let them know that we love them.
Right.
And if they want to switch it out and we're able, switch it out. It won't be the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you have to know the root of why you're serving. So that way, when those situations happen, there's not been an event where I haven't seen it happen.
Yeah.
You don't respond incorrectly.
Yeah. Know the root as to why you're serving. Can I put that on a t-shirt?
Yeah. I need
I'll give you
my
2%.
commission.
Yeah, 2%,
You know me.
2%.
Yeah, I need my part. I need my part.
Growing up being a musician, being a creative, then transitioning to different things in creative space. I always had one important rule, my number one rule, really my only rule, separating church and state, meaning what I do on the creative side will never meet what I do on the corporate side. I always kept them separate. And it was easy because they didn't necessarily need one another to support one another.
Right.
Okay. And only now, now that I'm doing the podcast, am I kind of revealing some things.
Right.
And I was talking to someone not too long ago, and they were like, "I didn't know that you were a musician and you did this and you were on tour and you report." I was like, it was intentional.
Right. You didn't need to know.
You didn't need to know. Right? So the question I have is separating the identity of Vallery Mitchell from the identity of CEO, philanthropist, coach, super person, all of those things.
Yeah.
How do you keep it separate?
That's a very good question. I believe that anytime I'm outside in public, I am going to carry myself as CEO, this and that, because you just never know who's watching.
Right, right.
Online, that's how I carry myself. But if I'm at family dinner or this or that, I'm just gonna be myself. But I've also gotten to a space in life where who I am at family dinner is who I am all the time.
Yeah.
So later in life, I've gotten to a space where I really don't have to separate the two because I'm like that 24/7. I've learned how to be professionally goofy because we all how goofy I can be. So now I've learned a professional level of goofy,
Okay.
And it wasn't always that way. And so I would just say that if anything, just find where you could always be yourself, but and be happy with that. So I wouldn't say that I don't shapeshift.
Okay.
Did I used to when I was younger and I wanted to be 21, 22, and 23?
Yeah.
That is probably where that's more prevalent.
Yeah.
But then I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself because, cell phones are a real thing, videos are a real thing. And I've always been somebody to plan for the future.
Yeah.
And I literally will always have a mindset of, I don't want to do anything today that's going to block DCO magazine, nonprofit of the year, but nonprofit of the year, Vallery.
Yeah.
So I just stopped doing a lot of things very young, and I was okay with the sacrifice. Unfortunately, people get in these roles and they don't want to sacrifice.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I was okay with doing that.
Yeah. Because the sacrifice turns into the commitment.
Right.
And the commitment is underwritten by discipline. Yeah.
And so I'm a firm believer in discipline, commitment, okay, ruin all this where we are today for a fun night out in the town.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter for me personally.
Yeah.
That's not everybody's story, and I respect that. But for me, I'm just gonna not do it.
That's cool. That's cool. Now I want to move away a little bit from fostering dreams. I want to talk about this volleyball thing.
Okay.
But I have a specific, area that I want to talk about because coaching in any sport is extremely important, except for NBA. But anyway, that's another story. Okay. The NCAA tournament is going on now. Okay. And
March Madness.
March Madness.
Right,
Yeah, March Madness. And once my daughter Renee, once she came into my life, men's sports, it kind of took a back seat, and I started paying more attention to women's sports. Then you were coaching and all this other stuff, and I came to some of your volleyball tournaments, got hit in the head one time, and I still didn't understand, volleyball. But that's beside the point. My thing is that what I've discovered in not only women's basketball on the college level, but in the WNBA, is that men are coaching women. But what I don't see in men's college basketball or men's professional sports are women in head coach positions for men.
Right.
I know that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you also coach a boys team, right?
Yes, first time ever at my school, I am the head men's volleyball coach.
Okay. I look at that as an opportunity to redefine strength in a sense. But let's get into the why. Why is it that it's okay for men to coach women?
Right.
But it seems as though we're in some outside universe for women to coach men.
Why do I think that is? I think that there's a lot of conversations that need to be had and a lot of biases that need to be called out. And I think that as we continue to move on, if we continue to set these environments where in men's professional sports and collegiate sports, women aren't being invited to the head coach's position, what is that saying about what you and your program believe about women and women in leadership? What is the underlying message? Because now why not her?
Right.
Why not her? You could put two people on the same two coaches on the same screen saying the same thing, same delivery, but why won't you listen to her?
Yeah.
So now we have to have more tough conversations, more TED talk, start calling people out.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it be Dawn Staley?
Yeah. Absolutely.
She's just as qualified.
Yeah.
So I think that it's also going to take, in my opinion, from where I sit, it's going to take men calling out men.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hear, women already say it.
Yeah.
And it's oh, girl, be quiet. Or, oh, the ladies are at it again. That's what's going on right now. Men have to call out men on this.
Yeah.
And push for a change. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And going back to Dawn Staley, who's my favorite basketball coach, even though I don't follow basketball. But, but I know that she did an interview, or she was interviewed for the New York Knicks job, and she said that it was never their intention to hire a female because the minute they start losing, they're going to look at the fact you're a female.
Yeah.
Okay, so you being a woman coaching young men, okay, because in a lot of situations, the coach is, the mentor, the parental figure, the therapist, so many different things.
Right.
Do you have an approach that you use for men or for young boys compared to when you were exclusively coaching females?
That's a great question. Something that I did before when this was brought to me, I immediately reached out. Like, never be a person that thinks you know what you're doing. I could have been a person who felt like I know what I'm doing. I've coached volleyball for 17 years. I don't need nobody help.
Right.
That is not what I did. I immediately started reaching out to male athletes that I knew, male coaches that I knew, and I literally started asking for advice because I'm not someone that's too good for advice. So I'm like, how do men like to be coached? You were a male athlete in college. What did you like to hear from your coach? And I literally just started gathering details and insight from all these different people.
Right.
And then I took that, put it all together, and that's how I approached my boys' team.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if they watch this later, y'all can let me know. In my opinion, I think it's going well. I believe that fundamentally they're the same, especially because we're talking about high school kids.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure maybe fundamentally collegiate and professionally it's not the same. But when we talk about at the high school level, fundamentally it is the same. I think that the boys have the same feelings that the girls have. They display it differently. The boys have the same insecurity that the women have. Again, they display it differently. Girls might get quiet and kind of shy away from things. Boys will start yelling at each other when their insecurity is flared up.
Yeah.
And so I've truly enjoyed learning the different cues. That's something that I've had to learn, and I vulnerably share with my boys on day one. Hey, we're all going to be learning each other here. I said, I haven't coached a group of young men on a serious competitive level. So we have to have a dialogue. Like, what are some things that you all would like? What are some things you wouldn't like? And this is not for me to tell you that I'm going to do what you said. I'm just listening. And if I think that's a good idea, okay. But don't let us having this conversation make you think everything you just told me right now, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Because that's not the case. So I just think that logistically, the boys and the girls are the exact same. And I've trained my girls up to hear information a certain way. So I personally don't have to change it. There are some coaches that will say you gotta truly kind of butter the girls up or, something like, not even butter them up, but you gotta say it a certain way. Whereas in my gym, I don't. Because I tell people all the time, we have to get to a space that we all want to be better. Feelings cannot be here. And that's like a rule in my gym. Feelings are not on your shoulders. Allow me the space to say what I need to say so we can all get better. Yeah. So I get to talk to the boys the same way I talk to the girls, which I know that's not the case in a lot of gyms where people have to flip.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting close to the end of our time.
Wow. No.
And what I like to do towards the end of every podcast is play a little game. It's called This or That. It's really called This or That, but I tried changing the name to Culture Check.
Okay.
And people,
I
they're
saw
like,
that. I saw that.
It's like Culture Check. What? So This or That. When you said earlier This or That, I call that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with that song, This or That.
I'm not.
You can get with this, or you can get with
Oh,
that.
okay, okay. So you should have led with that.
Well, I could have led with engine number 9.
Nah.
So here we go with This or That. Serve or spike?
Sir, I am a great server. I can rack up points with serve.
Okay. Captain or silent leader?
Ooh, captain or silent leader. Like, are you asking what I would want to be, or what do I think is more beneficial for a team?
Both.
I would love to be oh, that's a terrible question for a coach. Why would you do this to me? I love both of those. I think teams need both.
Okay.
Me personally, I would never just woke up and said I want to be captain. Was I picked to be captain? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say both now. I'm changing the rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both is fine. Okay. Practice or game time?
Practice.
Practice.
I believe the way you
We're gonna
practice is the way you play. Whatever you're gonna do at practice, you're gonna do in a game.
Okay. Win ugly or lose best?
Ooh. That's a good one too. I would say lose best. That's where you really grow. That's where that hunger and that determination really kicks it up
That's
a notch.
true. That's true.
It's like, because when you feel like, I'm right there, and that just happened for the boys team. Like they lost to the team they just beat last Tuesday.
Yes.
They lost to them Friday night.
Yeah.
And then we got in there, and it was our prep versus your prep, and we could tell that that prep was different for them. Our prep beat their prep, and that feeling was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got to see the video or Bev if you did, but that video, you could see, hey, we lost Beth Friday night, but then 3 days later, boom.
Yeah. See, I come from the school of thought that you don't reach the highest point of your potential until you give everything you have and you lose. I mean, and once you have that feeling, you have to make a decision. Am I going to stop here, or am I going to pick myself up, reevaluate, and push through?
Yeah,
And I think
you
that's
gotta
when
keep going.
you got to keep going. You got to keep going. Okay, so chemistry or chaos?
In what regard?
Volleyball, life.
Oh, chaos? Oh, no, I don't want chaos. I am not a chaos person. I'm all about.
And what I mean by chaos is the team dynamic. So you have some teams, they work well with chemistry. That chemistry gets them to a championship. But you have some teams where they don't like each other, and it's chaotic because when you go into the locker room, people are either on their phones or in their corners or whatever.
Right.
Okay, but they figure out a way to win.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I personally prefer chemistry.
Okay. All right, and here's a pyramid for you. It's a little bit different than this or that, but trauma, guilt, fear, expectations, or past. So in a pyramid, where would you place those things? Trauma, guilt, fear, expectations, past.
Just remind me, the top being the most prevalent.
No, there's no top. There's no bottom. It's just when you hear what's the first thing that kind of jumps out at you? What out of trauma, guilt, fear, expectations, past, what would keep you up at night?
Expectations.
That's it. Expectations right there with me.
Expectations.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Guilt, I don't really like. I'm very particular about what I'm doing, so I really don't put myself in situations where I would have to feel guilty later. Even like I'm no perfect human. I miss assignments or I do this or that, but I already come to terms with what the consequence of that would be. I don't feel guilty about it. I knew what I was doing. So, oopsies, all right, moving on now.
Yeah.
Well, what do I need to do to make this better, next time? But I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I don't do things that put me in a guilty state.
Right.
Trauma, I wouldn't say my trauma keeps me up, but do I think about it? Like, it's kind of, how much do you think about it?
Yeah.
I think about it, and I have to reevaluate myself often, annually, quarterly, whatever the case may be. Because like we said about healing, it's here. Like one day I might be okay with what happened to me in foster care and where I
Right.
came from, and the next day I hate the world. So why on earth would you do that? You know, so being okay with that emotion as
Right.
well, and figuring out like, what, okay, when you're in the I hate the world, you need to go sit by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's like where I'm at in this whole thing. You go sit by yourself until you don't hate the world anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. So that's kind of what I feel about trauma. Did you say discipline?
No.
No,
Guilt, fear, expectations, or your past.
I don't do that fear thing either.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you scared for?
Look, you can't be fearful, when you're getting stuff done, right?
No, you got to get after it. You know, what are you scared for? I don't believe that you should let fear hold you back from anything. Fear means you're not trusting God. God wouldn't bring it to you if he couldn't. If God wouldn't bring it to you if he didn't think you could do it.
Right.
Right. So that's what I stand firm in. I haven't been scared of anything, and I'll get anxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, did I get everything done on my to-do list? Like, and I'll just get anxious, like, because I'll get in a human space of wanting it to be perfect.
Yeah.
But then I had that conversation with God, like, no one asked you to make it perfect.
Right.
He
Right.
just
Right.
asked you to do it. So I have very, I be checking myself all the time because that's the kind of conversations that go on in my brain.
Right.
So I'll get anxious about those kind of things. I'll just get anxious that, I'm not huge on speaking.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can fool me. Okay.
But every time I go have a speaking event, everyone says it goes well. So,
Yeah.
But I'll get a little nervous or anxious before speaking because I don't. Some people may or may not know I do have ADHD. So the way it is up here, I don't know if that's how it's coming out of my mouth sometimes.
Right.
And so, just learning how to speak, how to make sure I'm not talking in a circle about it. Did that make sense? Type thing.
Yeah.
So those are the things that make me anxious. But fear, scared, no.
Okay. I definitely appreciate you coming out. But before
thank
we
you
get
for having me.
out, how can people find you, your foundation, donate, socials, any and everything that folks need to know?
So you can find me on one of the two websites. You could go to ValleryMitchell.com, and that's VALLERY, ValleryMitchell.com, and that's for people who want to know more about my coaching, private training, and just kind of, volleyball, fully volleyball oriented. If you want to learn more about the foundation, you can go to fosteringdreamsdfw.org. Make sure you put an S on dreams. And that's where you'll learn more about the foundation and all the work that Fostering Dreams is doing. You can follow us on Instagram as well, FosteringDreams_foundation. Again, if you're a volleyball person and you're having a good time on here, it'll be Coach Mitchell_VB.
Okay.
And then, just come hang out with us. We're always accepting volunteers. We always need help. We always need donations.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're like, I want to help her, yes, go to the website, click donate, just let it rain, and come hang out with us. We're trying to launch more events for foster youth. So for a few years now, we've been in a space where we've only been able to do one event a year.
Yeah.
And I am very determined, no matter what, that this year I'm doing more than one. So definitely reach out, figure out how you can get involved. We're launching our Belonging Hangout initiative, where we're getting out here and hanging out with the kids at least once a quarter.
Okay. Okay. That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Vallery. I get stuff done, Mitchell.
Well, thank you, Uncle Earl.
And with that, we're out.